The derelict spacecraft had been floating in the asteroid belt for centuries, a relic from a war that predated human space exploration by millennia. Erling had stumbled upon it during a routine mining survey, his scanners picking up unusual energy signatures that didn't match any known human technology. As a xenoarchaeologist working for the Frontier Research Institute, he couldn't resist the opportunity to explore. The airlock hissed open, revealing corridors that seemed to stretch into infinite darkness. Erling's helmet lights cut through the gloom, illuminating walls covered in strange, geometric patterns that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. The ship's artificial gravity still functioned, though weakly, giving his movements an eerie, dreamlike quality. In the heart of the vessel, he found her. The chamber was vast, its ceiling lost in shadow. At its center stood a figure encased in armor that gleamed with a dull, otherworldly sheen despite the thick layer of cosmic dust that had accumulated over the eons. The armor was unlike anything Erling had seen in his 15 years studying alien civilizations. Organic yet metallic, flowing yet rigid, covered in intricate engravings that seemed to tell a story he couldn't comprehend. Emily, though he didn't know her name, yet stood motionless, a statue frozen in time. Her armor rose in elegant curves and sharp angles, forming a silhouette that was undeniably humanoid yet distinctly alien. A crown of crystalline structures emerged from her helmet, refracting his lights into 1,000 prismatic fragments. Erling approached cautiously, his scientific curiosity overriding his survival instincts. He pulled out his analysis tools, but before he could activate them, something compelled him to simply reach out. His gloved hand touched the dust-covered faceplate of her helmet, and almost reverently, he began to wipe it clean. The dust came away in soft clouds, revealing armor that wasn't metal at all but something living, something that responded to his touch with faint pulses of bioluminescence. He continued cleaning, caught in a strange trance, clearing centuries of accumulated debris from the intricate designs etched across her chestplate, her gauntlets, her shoulders. As he wiped the dust from the final piece of medallion hanging at her chest, the entire chamber erupted in light. Emily's eyes opened behind the faceplate, glowing with an intense violet radiance. The armor rippled like liquid, shedding the remaining dust in a cascading wave. She drew in a breath, her first in who knew how many centuries, and the sound reverberated through the chamber like a symphony. Erling stumbled backward, his heart hammering against his ribs. I didn't mean to." The figure moved with fluid grace, stepping down from the platform where she'd stood frozen. Her helmet retracted, flowing backward like mercury to reveal a face that took Erling's breath away. Emily's features were delicate yet commanding, her skin bearing a faint iridescent quality that shifted between pale silver and deep azure. Her eyes, those same violet orbs, fixed on him with an intensity that seemed to pierce through his environmental suit and into his very soul. She spoke, and though the language was unlike anything in the galactic databases, Erling's universal translator struggled to make sense of it. Fragments came through: awakener, debt, gratitude. Emily raised her hand, and Erling noticed her fingers were longer than human norm, each tipped with what might have been claws or decorative extensions of her armor. He couldn't tell where the being ended and the armor began. She touched the side of his helmet, and suddenly, he could understand her perfectly. "You freed me from stasis," she said, her voice resonant and musical. "The dust that accumulated was not mere debris, but a temporal seal, placed by those who feared my power. By cleaning it with your own hands, with no tool or weapon, you broke the enchantment through an act of care. I'm Erling," he managed to say, finding his voice. "Human, from Earth. I'm a scientist. I didn't know anyone was alive in here, Emily," she replied, and somehow he knew it was a translation his mind could process, not her true name. "Queen of the Axelar Empire, or what remains of it. I have been asleep for," she paused, accessing data from her armor's systems, 3,214 of your years. The weight of that revelation hung between them. Empires had risen and fallen. Species had evolved and gone extinct. And she had stood here, waiting. "Your empire?" Erling asked carefully. "Gone," Emily said, but there was no sorrow in her voice, only acceptance. "The war we fought ended long ago, one way or another. I was placed in stasis as a last resort, a weapon to be awakened if needed. It seems I was never needed, or those who could wake me perished before they had the chance. She walked around him, studying him with those luminous eyes. Erling felt like a specimen under a microscope, yet there was warmth in her gaze. Not clinical coldness. You are fragile, she observed. Your species is young, barely out of your cradle world, yet you came here alone, driven by curiosity rather than conquest. How refreshing. Before Erling could respond, Emily stepped closer. Her hand cupped his helmet, and the gesture was so gentle, so unexpectedly tender, that he froze. In my culture, she said softly, there's a tradition. When someone saves a life, when they perform an act of kindness without expectation of reward, they are owed a debt that can never be truly repaid. But we acknowledge it nonetheless. Her armor flowed away from her face completely, and Erling saw her fully for the first time. She was beautiful in a way that transcended species, transcended the vast gulf of evolution that separated them. Emily leaned forward, and her lips touched the faceplate of his helmet where his own lips would be. Energy rippled through the contact, a spark of something ancient and powerful that made every nerve in Erling's body sing with sensation. When she pulled back, she was smiling a small, enigmatic expression that suggested amusement at his shocked reaction. Thank you, Erling of Earth, she said, for giving me back the stars, as the ship's systems continued to wake around them, humming with power that had slumbered for millennia. Erling realized his simple survey mission had just become something infinitely more complicated. He had awakened an alien queen, received a kiss that bridged civilizations, and quite possibly changed the course of human history. And he had absolutely no idea what to do next.